friends, welcome to Finance Today in India. This year's UNGA is a pivotal moment where trade, tariffs, and climate are front and center. At the 80th UN General Assembly, S. Jaishankar described Pakistan as the epicenter of global terrorism, stating that for decades, many major international terrorist attacks have been traced back to that one country, and citing the April 2025 Pahalgam massacre of 26 tourists as a recent example that India responded to by defending its people and bringing the perpetrators to justice through targeted actions referenced domestically as part of Operation Sindoor. He warned that when nations openly declare terrorism a state policy, allow terror hubs to operate on an industrial scale, and glorify terrorists, such behavior must be condemned unequivocally. While the world moves to choke terror financing, sanction prominent terrorists, and apply relentless pressure on the entire ecosystem. Emphasizing zero tolerance, he urged the international community to recognize the cost of condoning sponsors of terror, noting that the blowback ultimately harms those who look away, and called for coordinated global action within the UN framework to end cross border terrorism and restore credibility to collective security norms. S. Jaishankar's UNGA 80 address indirectly criticized President Donald Trump's tariff driven trade policy, warning that tariff volatility and uncertain market access are forcing countries to de risk by diversifying away from overdependence on any single market. He argued that non market practices have gamed global trade rules and created leverage through concentration, and said Bharat will maintain its freedom of choice while seeking fair, predictable access. Media coverage tied these remarks to Trump's escalatory agenda, including a newly announced 100% import tax on branded and patented pharmaceuticals unless production shifts to the US, and broader tariff threats that raise pressures on emerging economies. Framing the stakes for the global south, he cautioned that protectionist shocks and coercive supply chain policies erode trust and disproportionately hurt developing nations, and urged renewed equitable multilateralism over retaliatory spirals that fragment trade and slow growth. The theme is cooperation, but the mood feels fragmented as leaders navigate geopolitical tensions. South Africa's President Ramaphosa warned that trade is being weaponized, calling for a reformed WTO. He highlighted the African Continental Free Trade Area as a beacon of constructive cooperation. Delegations are pushing for fairer trade rules to protect vulnerable economies from retaliation. UNCTAD reports global trade grew by 300 billion in early 2025, but uncertainty looms ahead. The US has imposed a 10% baseline tariff, creating ripples through supply chains. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar emphasized the need for cooperation amid tariff volatility. He linked the renewal of multilateralism to fairness and the realities of the global south. UNGA 80 is crucial for markets where tariff politics meet trade flow math. Watch for signals on WTO reform and tariff pauses that could ease uncertainty. Keep an eye on major economies and their industrial policies that may further fragment supply chains. Follow India's initiatives on de risking and connectivity, linking policy to growth. UNGA can tip the balance between fragmentation and progress, but action is needed. If leaders fail to act, uncertainty will dominate, impacting trade volumes and jobs. That's all for this weekend news. Follow Finance Today India. Comment your thoughts.